the zone to the hands of Aiden and Hound, who found him on the outskirts. So you can see Paper and Shadow having a really tough time beating duos in clean fights in the early game, but they're an excellent late game team.
Yeah, even in the feed, you see Mason. And I was watching this. Bucky has a little bit of a rivalry against Mega and Snake, saying this is a team, they're stealing our loot. I can definitely go toe-to-toe with them after VOD reviewing their game plan after day number 1, and that's why you see them here trying to take a different approach. They already got the knock on to Mega, and they're not going to let this one go for free as Snake's getting chopped down. They know he's weak, so they take him out altogether. That shield keg for some is just a sign of weakness.
Yeah, and they see there's opponents in the distance as well, so notice the wide expansion of the base here just to play it absolutely safe, secure that loot, and just like that, they'll take their picks and move on. Ogus and Bucky, really, truly the disruptors of day number 1, starting off day 2 hot.
Already, he blueprint, he vodded it out, he let us know, everybody in his chat, what that plan was going to be. As Bugha and Threats, they got at least one elimination. It was on either Bolt or Thoric. I forget which one. I saw it in the feed. It's because they're contested. So DeQuinted is over there contesting them on that side of the map, and Bugha just got his red eye, snuck some shots in, and got that first elimination. So it may not do a ton in terms of their Storm Surge, but it's definitely something to get that ball rolling here on day 2.
Well, they are a team that loves to sit in the zone, play it slow and take it steady. Duke and Edgy taking a note from that book there, or I should say more like a page, as they're moving their way outside the zone. But let's catch up with Jenny as we get the 101 on game number 7.
I'm back.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have Duke and Edgy. And
hello.
To highlight. So as you can see, they are stacking this bush with all of the heals. And you can also see this is a very interesting way they decide to get some extra tags. They use all natural a tree to get some surge tags here, and as soon as they get those tags, they send themselves right back in to the bush, heal up, and go for it again. Getting prepared for endgame.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I feel like you're reading my mind, because that was my question. How are they going to get surge that they're no longer contested? Was Bryce and Chubbs, they didn't necessarily get the surge either. A lot of the players that were contested yesterday, might not be today, are going to have to adapt their game plan of where they're going to get that damage from. First things first, though, is Larson and User on the other side. Piece control here is going to be important. They got that left one. Bryce still not backing down, and it's more than just damage that they're after. It's for that weapon cache and all that loot that you see down below.
Well, if Bryce can repeat that performance, they should be stepping their way and inching their way towards an excellent start on the day here, but it will come down to the performance at the end here. Bryce and Chubbs are going to have to slow things down as they start to lose the momentum. Larson and company play excellent defense there, grab the walls that they need, and pump the brakes here, put everything on pause. No sales to pick up here from Bryce and Chubbs. They're gonna have to chill out.
And it's just an interesting decision. Nobody really wanted to back down just yet, even though Bryce and Chubbs do own the majority of the loot. You even see the Mythic Tactical Pistol from the Augment, mythical munitions. And they don't want anything of this. They got their loot, they got everything that they came for, and now they're just trying to disengage. They say, hey, we're gonna fare much, much better than some of these other teams as long as we can control our surge now that we have all our loot. But a team that I am so excited to finally see here on screen is Poyo, and I would say Sphinx, but he's already down and out. Poyo from the NA West region formerly, and Sphinx from the East. So as we combine regions, these two players found one another, and they're gonna go and show exactly what they got.
Yeah, Boyo has to be careful here. Reed and Epic Whale have nothing to lose. What a way to kick things off. He puts down Reed with some big shots, finds Epic Whale with the finish too, and Boyo might just be making a big name for himself this weekend as he takes down Epic Whale, punishes Reed, and shows them that he needs to have respect put on his name.
That is huge, because if he can find the time to stabilize, calm himself down, there's a good amount of loot from Epic Whale, including that Mythic Havoc pump from the ball on Mega City. And now Reed has the decision. Do I try to disengage, continue as a solo, or win this fight and try to get Epic Whale back into the mix to have my best chances to make up for lost time? One of their struggles yesterday on the day was Storm Surge and how to handle it. Reed in that last game showed us the blueprint, but here on game number 7 on the day, a little bit of a hiccup, a little bit of a misstep, and Poyo with the 1v2!
And he does it in great fashion there, cleaning things up and really saving his tournament run on day 2 already. We talked about you cannot drop a game. If you drop a game, you will lose your opportunity to stay inside the top 3, while Pollo and Spinx couldn't have put up a better performance. Take a look at the highlight if you are just tuning in. This is what the FNCS is all about. Big moments like this, new players showcasing what they can do on the merged region of North America. What a way to start the day off.
Got to imagine he had the reboot card from Spinx, and now not only is that a second chance to get back in the game, that's got to be a huge boost of confidence. Get right back on in, and you see Rift Island right above Chubbs, Bryce. Aiden's there. You got Larson and User. You got Seek and Lawrence. So many teams looking and eyeing onto that Rift Island, because one of the teams that called out they would go for it, 666, was Epic Well and Reet, and without them in the lobby, it means it's open for the taking.
Let's not just to hone in on that moment one more time. Epic Well and Reet are trying something different. They stood in the zone for the first time, and they are adjusting. But you can see not every plan is going to work out today. That is the nature of these 2-day competitions. It gets really, really difficult. Here's our most decorated Miro, Cooper, the duo who is sitting dead center zone right now in an optimal position. The heavy congestion is coming down from the southwestern side, and their focus is exactly where you would expect players to be sliding in from. So far, so good.
3 spots up for grabs in that global championship. And some of you might be asking, Acorn and Cold, they're already there. They already got that spot. What if they end up in the top 3? Well, guess what? It just rolls on down to the next player. And even though they're in 5th, Cooper and Miro that we saw moments ago, if they could jump up a few spots and kind of close it out on the day, they could be seeing that global championship.
That's right. Muzz and DJen want to be there as well. They're 100 above the Storm Surge here. Pretty okay spot to be in, but things might get really difficult from here onwards, as there's about 12 or so players that will have to fall. DJ's still looking for tags as opposed to rotating early. It is going to work for them. They're going to play deep into the Storm there. Now we hop in with Peterbot and Quanti. No problems in sight for this duo here. It's an excellent time to touch base with our 8th place competitors. Entrance onto the day, flare gun in hand. Very decent loadout. Not the best when it comes down to the heals. You can see that they have been through some struggles. The loadout does paint the picture for us. But here's our mid-game aggressors.
I feel like this is something we know all too well. Dragon and Elige, when they're down on Surge, they are not scared to fight for it. Against Pamsu and Fatch over on the other side. We're gonna have to get past them first, and they have the time on their side. He gets the piece, gets the edit to go through, but doesn't get the box onto Fatch. They go ahead and fire back, though. Both of them go down. That's Dragon and Liege, who get sent back to the lobby by Fatch himself.
Fatch and Pamsu, man, this is a scary, scary duo. You never really know what you're gonna get from a good old Pamsu and Fatch. They're very much a day 2 type team as well. They had a good top 14 to kick things off in day 1. A lot of our bubble teams are actually stepping up to the challenge right now, finding their stride here. Game 7 already starting off very well for some. Now look, Acorn, Cold, that 2nd place point difference between Duke and Edgy. Duke up top, we already noticed in this game here, they picked up a good string of eliminations in the early game, so they do have the lead essentially widening at this point, really.
The longer they stay alive and make some time, it's gonna be better off as Cold takes a couple shots. You can see that him and Acorn aren't necessarily in the same box, so they gotta watch out and not get singled out altogether. Nounsy and ZZ, they actually won a game on the day yesterday. They're going box to box with Death and Tahi, who more often than not got that bot loot from Shattered Slabs, but using it to its most optimal nature has been something that has been eluding them, and this could be a perfect chance to make up for that lost time. Piece control going over, but a great shot by Nounsy. They did just enough to get ahead of the Storm Surge, but now they're weak. 1 HP. Tahi knows it. Death can smell it, and this is why they should, in theory, continue to put down that pressure.
Tahi's got all the white tags as well, so they know they are absolutely gutted right now. They are so far above the Surge too. All the information is there for them to go ahead and gather that this team needs this fight much more than we do. And with that, the confidence, the execution comes through. They win the 2-on-2. And without drawing the attention of all the opponents down low, what an excellent way to close things out.
It almost seems like everybody's distracted by Rift Island. As Duke and Edgy first place by only 1 point. They want to extend that lead. And down goes Batman Bugha. Down goes Bacon as well. Another team kind of getting taken advantage of due to teams losing their drop spot. When you practice, when you set a goal, when you write down your strategy and everything gets tossed turned upside down, you're forced to kind of do something different. But for Duke and Edgy, I feel like they've been playing everything so well, whether they contested or not. They're managing their Storm Surge. They're managing their rotations. They're staying ahead of the game every single turn. Look at them. They got a free zone right in front of them, while the whole southern portion of the lobby is going to be so congested, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, at this point, Edgy is literally fighting to not be a free agent anymore. He's like, hey, let me show you what I am capable of. He's had so many opportunities. He's had a long, drawn-out career in Fortnite, and now he is putting up the numbers. And Duke's had such a great last couple of months, just all in all, finding his way up the ranks, really earning his respect tournament to tournament. Everyone recognizing, hey, this kid's dangerous. He's nice.
Yep. Talk about being nice, though. Kanata and Agers contested, but still have a top position on the leaderboard over towards the racetrack. Didn't matter who the lobby sent at them, they're still figuring out a way to perform. 86 above the damage threshold. They know it's no feeling of comfortability at all, which is why they're continuously looking for the shots, even with the flare gun, but down on Surge. Acorn and Cold forced to go in, backs against the wall. A huge shot by Cold, but he's by himself. Acorn gets lost along the way, and now he's the focus of the lobby. Cold, he needs something to alleviate this pressure right now, and I think it's going to be the two teams on the outside that now begin to fight each other.
Well, that's it. Those are the heals. They're done. He couldn't even pick up the loot right there. Pressure coming in from everywhere. It's a full duo.
Wow.
It's G-Money, Hide and Seek, and Lawrence there as well to hop on in, take that fight, take advantage of Cold being distracted, and just like that, second place is out. Take a look at Duke and Edgy. Edgy nowhere in sight, also down here, first and second place, facing the same exact issues, seemingly at the same time as well, but the difference is Duke is still alive. He has a little more eliminations. He's closing in on new placement points.
Yeah, with Acorn and Cold going down and Duke under distress, this could be something magnificent in terms of entertainment, in terms of how close the game is actually going to be. No placement points just yet coming in as Duke's just scouting. He sees two teams on the outside trying to fight, trying to attack each other for Storm Surge. This information that he's gathering is so huge because he still has to rotate to the zone. Paper's on the other side. Shadow is nearby. Duke takes a quick shot before disengaging.
Oh, does miss the exit there from the kinetic blade. It's gonna cost so much. No. So much, in fact. Shadow times it. He sees the mistake and jumps in and takes advantage. Gets the full finish, and now he has a kinetic blade to exit with. Here's our dead side rotating Kings. Threats and Bugha, they're like, dude, y'all want to stay down there and fight? Don't worry, we're gonna just go ahead and chill over here. Nice and comfortable, enjoying the cool breeze, enjoying the high ground, the cabin views. What's going on?
That is it, though. First place is down. Second place is out. And that door swung wide open for Bugha and Threats to try to take that first spot. And it's going to be huge because the way they have been playing yesterday throughout those 6 games, they've been playing calm, cool, collected, not making too many mistakes. They know exactly what is up for grabs. We could talk about the money, but they want to go to that global championship at the end of this year.
Now I'm curious on Kanata's situation. I saw Agers knocked and finished to the hands of Boyos and Sphinx. So these are big teams inside the conversation right now, falling already. So this is really going to start opening up the leaderboard. Bryson Chubbs also have an opportunity now to take advantage. Bugha and Threats here move on in. They get tagged and ripped straight up out the sky when they touch down, and they are now getting eaten alive through their materials here, and they are on death's door. But luckily, it does seem like they're going to be able to survive for a little bit longer. Will the lobby decide that they're going to stop shooting at them? Normally, it doesn't happen, Jacob.
Now, normally they focus, especially for a team only 138 above the threshold. Some, that might be a ton of damage, but for others, that's nothing. That's how this lobby is going to be. Slides down the mountain. Commandment is actually going to get credit for the knock onto Bugha, but Threats is still in the game. But we lose Peterbot, we lose Bwanti, flare gun going out. Everybody's position is going to be revealed, and that's why you see a lot of teams save that augment for this portion of the game.
That's crazy, though. The timing there. Bugha and Threats, how quickly things can change for you from completely comfortable to all of a sudden sent back to lobby on high ground. Iamzo and Rise, who would have thought they'd have this position here so early into this end game, already poising themselves up to be the kings of height.
So we lost first, we lost second, we lost half of third place. Baka and Pars, please don't tell me you're next. You're next in line altogether to try to move up that leaderboard. With how they performed at that Duo Cash Cup, they put themselves within contention on the day yesterday. Iamzo and Rise, they want to stay ahead of the zone. They drop down to ultimate low ground. They see a fight. They see a knock onto Chris, and that's them trying to take advantage. Even though they're not going to get the elimination credit for Chris, that's the loot that they want, because right now it's loot that they need as well. Iamzo, not very many builds to work with, so this material refresh is going to be impactful for the game.
Absolutely. Looking at the feed there, I see Foyo still finding Elims as well. Panso up 2. Jumping in with Bryson Chubb, though, they have all the danger in the world surrounding them. They are inside the congested pack of players that are moving right now. These are the hardest rotates to make. More often than not, you will change layers, but they do not have that opportunity for them. And in the distance, you just hear flare gun revealing over and over.
That's where it kind of reveals yet again right there that Threats is indeed a solo left in this game. He's looking towards the backside of the zone because you can see he doesn't have a ton of builds to work with. He's trying to catch somebody off guard, doesn't see anything that he can work with, and quickly kinetic blades to the front side of zone. But take note, he doesn't drop to the ultimate low ground. That's a bunch of chaos that he doesn't want to be involved in.
He's looking for opportunities like this. Who's going to run out of materials, wrap their way through these mid-ground layers, and give him a chance to find a Elim? Just like that, ClarityG gets chunked, but not enough to get the finish. It was so close, and now finally out of material, forced to low ground. Notice he's jumping because he doesn't have a map to save his toes there. Rise Niamzo on the other side, find himself a little refresh. That's Luke falling on high ground. You have Inpen and Polarize trying to win this one out, and it seems like everyone down low is in a world of trouble. Look at Baka and Pars, 4th place coming in, now edging their way to top 10.
Pars only has a Havoc to his name when it comes to weaponry, but a huge find onto Macwood towards the low ground. He gets a couple materials to work with. Something is better than nothing. As soon as him and Baka try to reunite, this is going to be a position for them to try to take over. Iamzo goes down. Rise is left by himself. Everybody going through so much destruction and chaos on the low ground, but Npen and Polarize, they found themselves a cloud in the sky, and they have very little worry.
Crazy to think Miro's still in here, Foyo's still in here. So many of our top 10 competitors, our top 15 bubble entrants are still in this game, but the highest placing team is Pars and Baka. No Baka, though. Pars has to shoot at everything in his sight, but no, he falls to the hands of Rise. Here's Miro, also playing as a solo here, sneaking his way around this mid-ground here. Just 2 builds to his name, not much to utilize here. He falls down, he gets taken out to the hands of Npen.
So many players just scraping and climbing their way into the top 5. Seek Norris got a good position, but no builds to work with. They look up, they see Polarize, try to knock him down, but he's ready and waiting to kind of hold his position. Lawrence gets knocked all the way down low. He gets knocked all together. Zeke drops down low, trying to be the hero, but they get eliminated, sent back to the lobby. That's User now getting himself a position here into the top 3, going up against Npen and Polarize on the high ground, and one other solo down below.
Npen does have the kinetic blade to come down, but Polarize is going to take the fight, clean things up, and close out the game. And just like that, the veterans of Npen and Polarize win themselves a first game of the day here for day number 2 of the Graded Fighters.
A slow start on day number 1, but hitting the ground running here on day number 2. Polarize and Npen trying to take advantage of everybody that was kind of lost in the sauce. You can see at this point in time, they have that 6 eliminations. They book in their 7th, and with 4 points per elimination, that's a huge bump on that leaderboard.
Not only that, they get the win, so the momentum is in their favor. The wind is in their sails as well. What a game.
Yep, hitting the ground running, and that's going to do some things to the leaderboard because I called it throughout the action. First place was down, 2nd place was out, 3rd place was in shambles. So Zeke and our analysts, we need your help.
Game number 1 of the day, 7 overall, all wrapped up. Npen, Polarize, looking to step up to North America and say, look, yesterday doesn't matter. Today is our day. We want that crown.
Yeah, the step up that you were talking about, Zeke, is taking the higher ground, Kelly. And, you know, shout out to these players and shout out to Npen and Polarize for actually finding the higher ground, for some of them making this rotate, because we've talked about how the zones that have changed coming into this season have been so rough. They pull so far. This game, Fortnite was like, hey, why don't we throw a couple of mountains in the mix as well to make it just that much harder? I mean, look at the terrain in the background.
I love how it's not just the meta of Fortnite we see, but the meta within a tournament that evolves. And what we're seeing, and what we've seen for the last few weeks, is that one player will drop down to stop the potential heal off while one player stays high. Now, NPen, the player that stayed on the high ground there, didn't have any heals, and that's typically the factor we see in there. But what he was lacking, the reason he didn't drop down, is that he had like 50 medium ammo and maybe a few shotgun shells. So, of course, Polarized was the better choice to drop down and grab those eliminations if needed.
They're like, hey, we're up here. I'm up here. I'm ready for heal off. No one look. No one look. Let's take a look at our standings, though. Where does this game leave us? Remember, coming in, things looked very close, very dire in some situations. But now, take a look. Poyo, Sphinx, they jump up 2 placements. And now the likes of Duke, Edgy, Acorn, and Cold, finally, they are contested.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Polo and Sphinx taking full advantage of the fact that Duke and Edgy and Acorn and Hold did not have a good game number 7, but I'm looking towards that top 5. It looks like the gap now between first and top 5 is that of 25 points. So we are setting up some storylines here for day number 2, but again, this duo just taking full advantage of the fact that some of our top competitors were not in this late game.
And I love the story between this duo. I've been calling them an NA West duo, but they're actually one of the teams that's a bit of a hybrid. NA represented through, or NA West through Polo, and then Sphinx representing NA East. And clearly the synergy is working out for them real well. Watching them play, so smart. Didn't get the victory royale, but hey, in first place, who needs it?
Hey, those elimination points, they are playing a big factor. Remember, 4 points per elimination. And when you pair that up with placements, you will go far. Now we have to talk about Baka and Pars in that 4th place spot currently on the standings. Also have a very good game. And take note, they have not moved in their placement, right? So they're still locking up 4th.
They didn't move. Neither did 5th, 6th, or 7th, right? So everybody kind of holding on as these games kind of find their way through. But this duo obviously using those kinetic blades and the drop down there, keeping their run alive, finding that refresh on the Macwood, giving them those siphon refresh materials. Look at this. He just carried it further and further, got some more placement points, and then that shot right there from Rise, I like blinked and was like, whoa, 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 what just happened? Unfortunate on the receiving end of that. Shout out to Rise for that shot. But yeah, good stuff out of this duo.
The kinetic blade plays that we see towards the end game there, where they shoot up to get vision, is such a high-risk, high-reward play.
It is.
Obviously, you're able to get a vision of everyone down below you, but we know that there's a possibility that a pulse rifle could be in the hands of the high ground team, and we've seen what players can do with that pulse rifle, specifically with the players using the kinetic blade.
A duo that has kind of taken a step back and said, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do a little bit of VOD review. Bugha and Threats, currently in that 6th place. Once again, not moving. They are really looking to amp it up here in day number 2, especially when we hold them in like such high standings, right?
You know, we had a moment during this game, right? And we respect Bugha so much because he has been to, you know, every tournament under the sun, basically. And there was a moment during this game where they were, of course, getting lobby sprayed right there. And what he did was he told Threats, he was like, hey, listen, you start holding the wall. And what he did while Threats was holding the wall, he dropped his materials to Threats because Threats had just 30 more HP to him, knew that Bugha was going to go down eventually, basically just put it in the hands of Threats. The trust to actually be able, you know, put that into your duo's hands, the experience to make that call. Shout out to Bugha for that little bit of a, you know, that little bit of an edge over the rest of the competition.
And we've seen a lot of players that when it does come down to a solo clutch, or they're lacking in materials or in ammo, just like what we saw with Threats there, that they tend to stick to the mid ground. And he did that really well. Typically, you see a lot of aggression going on the low ground, and then, of course, the high ground are just snipers taking everyone out. So by staying in the mid ground, you're able to kind of be a little bit more protected, but also be aware of what's going on to the players down below.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I want to check in the top 20. We know 340 points is the duo in first place.
Yep.
But let's kind of roll on over. Where are we at? What does that top 20 look like? Death and Tahi currently in that 20th place, rather, with 168 points. But just start to look at the names on this second page, right? 12th place, NPen, Polarized. They got themselves the Victory Royale, but even that isn't quite enough to put them in that top 10, right? And then as we go down this list, Degen, Mud, Jamper, Caster, Clarity, Trashy, Pump, Visuals, Agers, Kanata. What is happening here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking at this top 20, and I'm looking, you know, some of these points, right? 17th being 200 points. That's 140 points behind realistically, I mean, anything can happen as we go throughout this day, especially if we take into consideration what we just saw in game number 7. A lot of the top teams not performing. That just opens up the floodgates for all of these bubble teams to actually catch up.
And you're asking what happened. Well, Zeke, we added an entire new region together. It's no longer just NA East top teams competing. Now we have the NA West top teams competing too. And that is definitely going to be shaking up the lobby, not just with how the top teams are taking other teams down, but also drop spots.
Yeah, I love that. I love kind of using that as kind of the measure, right? We have to remember there's still teams trying to adapt. They're still trying to figure each other out while also aim for these top 3 spots, Vivid.
Yeah, and let's talk about adapting, right? NPen and Polarized finding a very good game number 7, landing south side of the map. If they have figured something out that they can consistently replicate as, you know, the day goes on, they could be running towards that top.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these top teams that are able to get high ground are also the teams that are prioritizing the weapons cache. Anything that can possibly grab those slurp juices. Obviously, heal-offs aren't as likely in the grand finals, but they are still a potential. So being able to cover all of your bases like a lot of these top teams are doing is going to be working out for them.
I love the breakdown. There's so much happening here in North America, but these guys have got us covered. Now, of course, I know what you want. It's more action, more games. The players are ready. We're ready. We hope you are as well. This is game number 8 of the FNCS.
There it is. We are now another big step closer to solidifying a new FNCS Grand Finals champion of North America. We have just seen a ridiculous finish, by the way, by NPen and crew. NPen is someone we've interviewed over the years. We've gotten to learn so much about him. Jacob, talk to me about this duo. What makes him special?
It's just one of those teams that just loves to get aggressive. They love to fight. That's why when you look at their Kenjutsu Crossing, them being uncontested, puts a little bit of worry in some of these players' minds, but that's why you also see them flying around the map, trying to go ahead and fight people for Surge.
And the difference here now is that they are stepping up when it matters most, edging their way to that top 3, but we heard the battle bus. I'm ready to go ahead and strap on in and see what this is going to be all about, because right now we already know that the early game is going to continue to be explosive. It's going to be fireworks on the landscape, and we already know that anything can happen. The back and forth, the adjustments, the changes that have to be made. Let's watch it play out here. Tahi and Dep touchdown first. One of the few teams that get, like we just talked about, access to such major loot, vault access, and still they're inside that top 20. What can they do to solidify themselves further? But here, we have ourselves a fight.
Yep, Yamzone Rise, one of the contenders here in the lobby. If they could manage to make it off spawn majority of these games, they did it in game number 7 on the day, and they're going to do it here again. And all it took them was a couple of seconds.
Rise and Yamzo, big 2-piece elimination out the gate there. They'll go ahead and tuck that one in the bag and take it home to go for Chubbs and Bryce. They also have seemingly got into a little bit of a potential scuffle here for the job. No, actually, the opponents that were there backed off for the second game now. Okay, so we can conclude the story here that Bryce and Chubbs might have actually done enough in day 1 to fend off and earn the respect of the opponents that was challenging them. For Zypher and On1, the story's not the same. They actually got taken out last game.
Yep, trying to get a little bit of revenge here in this game against Landjock and Zookies, who finally showed some life here on the day. But you have to be careful, because the longer a fight like this takes, there's a team right towards the south that might be looking over, trying to get some free Surge tag. Then you also know Pam's doing Fatch, land over towards Frenzy Farm, so it's not something that you want to have prolonged here. And staying in the house might be the play if it is going to take some time. Zypher sneaking around the corner, gets piece control towards the other side, and a huge beam from the compact SMG, but it's going to leave Zookies with just a sliver of health. You don't want to give anybody any hope to try to fight back.
Notice the respect there as well, playing extremely passive, although they do have the advantage here. And this is the caliber and respect these professional players demand. Although Zookies is on a single shot, Landjock does enough to fend them off there, even find themselves minis. That's going to actually be a huge boon for them. Great find. This On1 now is on the hunt. Zookies has not gotten any heals just yet. This is a desperate position to be on. See if he can find it. Nothing just yet, Jacob.
At Landjock,
He's going in.
ammo because he only had 2 shots left in the combat. That would have been drastic, especially with the angle that he has right now. Zuki's getting pressured from both On1 and Zypher. They finally bulldoze their way in, but it's going to be a trade. Landjock is doing a good job of fighting back, and On1 senses some weakness, and he plans his revenge as he takes this fight right to their doorstep.
And I'll tell you what happened. He ran out of shotgun ammunition. He had 2 bullets in the combat. I saw it. He saw it, but then he forgot. We all get in those kind of situations where the pressure starts to set in and you just result in muscle memory. It's human nature.
And as we tune into Cold, no Acorn, struggles continue once more with Cold just trying to make up for it. This is typically where both Mega, Snake, Bucky, and Okis are trying to split that loot, and that's why you saw them fighting tooth and nail last game. Cole's just trying to take advantage, peek some shots in, get some Storm Surge before he backtracks, and hopefully tries to get Acorn back into the game. But a team that was once in first place, they had a little bit of a misstep in game number 1. Duke and Edgy, once again, uncontested. That team that was kind of fighting them on that day number 1 is no longer making their presence known on this side of the map.
They're just edging their way to the side there, and look at that, they get to pick up a kinetic blade. Nicely done, and of course, as we're tuning in with our top tier teams, we have to see what's happening around the world as well. This is another team, Pars in Baka. Exceptional performances on day 1. They slide their way into day 2, and already here on game 8, they are maintaining their 4th place position and starting to edge away there. 2 quick elims on the coastal side.
Yeah, they did close the gap at least a little bit from them and everybody else that was above them. As with those eliminations, you see it updating live. They've overtaken Acorn and Cold on the leaderboard just by 3 points. And you see Cooper and Miro over at 315. The top 5 looking so stacked. But that's because that game number 1 that we had, where a lot of our top teams, specifically the top 2, went down so early before placement points even set in.
Other relevant teams that have fallen already: Bucky, Okis, Trashy, and Pump. These are exceptional players, but game 8 not in their favor just yet. Cold and Acorn are situating themselves right now.
Uh-oh.
Very tough game for them last round. Bugha and Threats have themselves a whole world of new problems today. This is actually Polarized and NPEN.
Yeah, it looks like we're trying to smush
Uh-oh.
the other team contesting both of them on that side. But Polaroids,
Okay,
with a confident play just to take over that high ground and land a good shot onto Threats, backing them down just a little bit. But you can kind of see the strategy. NPEN eased up that pressure, moved in, made it look like a 2v2 was going to go down. As soon as that happened, Polaroids got right on out to disengage. Going against Bugha and Threats this early in the game wouldn't be on my list of things to do.
that was crazy though. The pre-fire right there that Threats was able to tag and land with. And just like that, you have a little bit of a standoff here between NPEN, Polarized, Threats, and Bugha. Of course, none of them want to overcommit, but those tags that they find are extremely important, of course, because you have to do damage at the end of the day. So let's look at Chubbs and Bryce here. Red dots also in hand. I like the charged shotgun pickup here from Bryce. A little bit of a surprise, of course, because the augments give you that option.
Let's plant you a charged shotgun and a flint knock pistol to go for broke augment. But the Mega City that's been wielding some great entertainment so far, Poyo and Sphinx, specifically Poyo with the 1v2 against Epic Whale and Reet. You can see in the mini-map, they're already trying to disengage. You gotta imagine that they got their vault loot, and they just want to try to put some distance between them and then Jeff and Rapid, who are also a team that lands over towards Mega City.
We see ourselves an excellent quick stack here. Poyo and Sphinx were the only team with 20 points in every single game. Ow. On day number 1, and you know what? Just judging by the strategy, every time we've tuned in, it's been the same, but hold up. Give that a moment. We'll catch back up in a second. I'll finish that thought after Cold and Acorn finish this fight. But can they win it? It's the most important part. They fall first. Lizus and Bully Bean coming again. And just like that, Game 7 did not go their way. Game 8 as well. Huge upsets, completely different story for them. They're down and out.
He's talked about it to start the day. The top 9 teams were the ones we're really looking at for contention to take the FNCS Championship by storm, with 2 games already slipped up for Acorn and Cold. They're going to need a monster 4 to end the day and end the day strong to try to keep their position at the top of the leaderboard. But they also already got their spot booked already for that global championship, so that's not necessarily a must for them. It's just something that's bragging rights. It's just something that they want to do to add on to their accolades that they already possess.
Yeah, for some that have, you know, again, wield or have already begun to wield that FNCS Active Champion, you know, it doesn't maybe hold the same prestige. They can say they've done it before, but if you're someone like Kanata, right, you absolutely want to finally earn one for you, right? So it is very different for everyone outside of course, making your way to the global championships that are happening just in October. Details are online. You saw the announcements. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, it looks like tickets are live.
I know my alarm's set. I'm going to kind of get me a ticket myself. That's some action that I don't want to miss, especially where it's at. Duking edging without that off-spawn exchange game after game. You can see their plan of how they're getting that Storm Surge. Immediately hunting around. And that's the thing. It's not enough to just master your drop spot. You have to know the other drop spots, the other teams around, what their loot path is, so that way you can make a surge path just like this. And it already looks like with the zone pulling towards the south, a move towards the west. They're trying to give themselves the least congested side of the zone to kind of play in.
I like what I'm watching. Let's see a little update here from Kanata and Agers. Bit of a split position played out between the two, but they're still at the racetrack on the outer edge. Not really a soul in sight. This might be a troublesome game for them. Yes, they have an elimination, so we can assume they have some tags, but we all know those early game elims, I mean, you know, players are not really healthy at that point, right? They're typically shieldless, so it's about 100 damage. That's not enough. Not enough for Storm Surge.
All it does is typically buy you a couple of extra seconds, maybe a minute, before you got to look for that surge again. As Batman Booga, they're trying to look for not only surge, but some points to make up for those speed bumps they hit across the way. But you got to be careful. Pamso and Fatch, like a lion in the safari, slowly but surely creeping up, getting ready to pounce at a moment's notice against DJ and Muzz, who started the day off hot yesterday, slowly but surely slipped up. But there's no time like the present, especially in day number 2, as Batman Booga's forced back, but lands a quick shot. These trades are so important, making sure nobody has the upper hand. But as soon as I say that, that Pamso third party comes in. But if you look at the mini-map, there's still 2 more teams that have yet to take part in this fight that have that potential to do so.
You can see this fight's all open, the weapon cache. They want that loot that gets pushed out of it. There's not a dull moment in sight for NA, though. The fight's ringing out all across the map. This is before the warning even goes out, before the lobby even gets the message to take the battles. They're already setting up here. You love to see this level of aggression really starting to take place here. But this is, I think, what's going to happen and what we can expect for the remaining years of North America now that we have West and East completely merging and competing against one another.
Just Pamso just being like a fly at a picnic, just buzzing around this fight, not letting anybody eat comfortably. But that's Caskers and Clarity, who sneak up on him, sneaking up on somebody else. Fatch probably had a couple trees there. He wasn't able to watch like he probably wanted to. And that's going to force him to disengage, but it's going to do nothing to this fight. Muzz, Degen against Batman Booga and Bacon. Nobody really wanted to back down, even though Batman Booga did scrape away with a good portion of that loot that they're fighting over.
Well, now they've more or less griefed one another's material count, so they will have to conclude that fight to get the refresh. Jumping back over to Pollo and Sphinx, finishing that thought that I had moments ago. Every single game has played out exactly like this. If you rewind the tape, go from game 1 all the way up to now game 8, you will see this exact execution in place here. There's probably not a better team to review right now here at the Mega City. They have played the perfect Mega City tournament run that we've seen so far. But of course, it will come down to the next 4 games.
Yeah, and honestly, throughout the offseason, before week 1 even started, you saw a lot of teams interchange players. We saw a lot of more mixed regions between the two, East and West, when we did combine into just NA. And this is the team that is eons above. Pollo from the West, Sphinx from the East, and they are making it known that they are a team to watch out for. Seek and Lawrence already on top of Rift Island, not wanting to let anybody contest them that high in the sky. They were at least able to get a knock on the Mason. Bryce is there putting in shots as well to clean it up, but the elimination points are still going to go on over to Lawrence and Seek.
Battle for the Rift Island seems to be successful so far for Hide and Seek Lawrence. But Company has arrived. It's trouble. It's Epic Whale. After the last game, I mean, they got to sit on their hands for quite some time. Hopefully things haven't cooled down too much for them, because we all know that level of inconsistency does start to wear in on you. As a competitive player, you do not want to be sent back to the lobby so early in the rounds. You really are forced to think about those last games, and even that can start to take its toll.
Yeah, but they already gave everybody a warning on the day. They said 6 of 6 were going for that Rift Island. They got taken down in game number 1 to Poyo to Mega City. They never made it there, but as soon as it spawns, you see them flying in the sky, contesting it, so nobody can get any sense of the loot. And right now, Epic Whale, with that vault loot already in hand, they can pack a punch. That one-shot potential is going to be massive. So the longer you contest a team like this, the more risk you're taking to get taken down in the blink of an eye.
Let's see it right now. Deciding what augments they want to go ahead and pick up to take on the rest of the game. It looks like Flare Gun's going to be one of the picks.
It's going to help, because now they know exactly where everybody on Rift Island is. They know Seek and Lawrence is a little distance away. That other team that was up there kind of disengaged altogether. It's Frenzy Fields becoming a hot spot as well. 400 above the damage threshold. Pamso and Fatch. Going to throw it over to Jenny. How has their game been faring so far?
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, Pamso and Fatch had a great game last game. As we can see, they had 11 eliminations, and they broke into top 10, which is absolutely huge for them. However, this game, they do not have katanas, either of them. So we'll have to see if that affects them moving into the end game.
Gonna be something that I'm watching to the end of time. They're making some sneaky plays, but you heard Jenny say it herself. The lack of the kinetic blade's gonna make rotating for them much, much harder. The blessing that they do have on their side, though, Monster, is the zone. It's over towards Frenzy Fields, where they initially drop at to start the game.
Yeah, and we saw the zone land on top of Kanata and Aegis as well. They've already fallen in the feed, so just because you get zoned does not mean it's going to be easy. In fact, I believe it is arguably a little bit more difficult when it lands right on top of you, because you are almost forced to play a little bit more static, a bit more stationary. And for some, that can be really, really difficult to adjust to. But let's hop on over to a team that's been on the move all day today. Bugha, Threats. They don't have an Elim. They're somewhat middling as far as the overall loot goes. I like the heal situation, although he's been tagged. He will have to dig in just a little bit there, but the material count, I'm not too excited about.
Yeah, and my question mark is the Surge as well. Since Zone is over here, not a lot of teams are going to cross this path. No. The only one I imagine they saw was NPen and Polaroids to kind of start the game off, and there you have it. It is going to be revealed 50 below, but Bugha and Threats, 50 below, that's nothing. They waste no time going above and continuously climbing as they look back and spot out Quan and Jack.
Very experienced team over there, and look at this. Bugha trying to play for the pinch here. He wants to get those side angles. This is a very dangerous spot to be in, though, nonetheless. He is pretty spread out from Threats there. The pressure starts to come in, trying to see if he can force and bring in the interest of the lobby to shoot in. I think that tree is actually blocking the line of sight. He's wondering, like, hey, you shot at me. Why aren't you shooting at them? That's literally what's going through Bugha's mind right now. I guarantee you, as he's trying to force this lobby focus, he doesn't get it. He drinks the Mega Slurp juice early just so that he can get the health on up and ticking before the Surge gets active, and already not looking too hot.
It just goes to show, plant a tree, save a life. Because once again, Bugha gets tagged up by that same team, but you talked about it, the tree is just not there. And that's them taking advantage of as Threats closes the gap. They were once split up between the two, and they have that strength in numbers. As they're hoping that Quan Jock maybe forgot about him. You see them sneaking up, the edit goes through. Bugha thinks he's spotted out. Whether he was or was not spotted out, he quickly builds to try to shield himself. They already got themselves the edge of that zone, and as the zone begins to move, it also opens up the slower side and will keep their trend alive of going to the least congested side of the map.
He pretty much just blind fired right back at that box, seeing if something would hit. Nothing quite connects there. Polarizing NPen after a Game 7 win finds himself below the Surge ever so slightly here in Game 2. Storm's already ticking. They're actually rolling up right behind Jack and company, but no extra shots come in from Quanti and Peterbot. putting a halt to their ambush, and Polarized misses the most important shots of Game 8, the ones that would have kept him alive, and he recognizes now things might be over. The surge still ticking here. He is on the clock. He is also in the storm, mind you. That is just adding to the pressure here.
If anybody plays that in slow motion, he was on 1 HP.
Man.
The Storm Surge took him down. That's neither here nor there because he gets taken out trying to go for shots as they continuously fall below the threshold. That's what I'm saying. Them uncontested at Kenjutsu's crossing is doing more harm than good for a team that needs to find that surge. Even though they're going against Bugha and Threats, they only got maybe just a little bit off of Polaroid shots, and now they're just kind of stuck. NPEN is now stuck in just a weird spot. Still has to rotate the zone, rotate into so many teams here. He's trying to go up and over. Maybe they don't notice him, but even if they don't, he still has to fight anybody in his surroundings to get the damage that he needs.
Yeah, he's pretty much hanging out right now for the moments being. That Legendary Slurp Juice obviously in hand here to keep him up should he need it. And there it is. Things get active. The ticks start to come in. The damage has been dealt. He is already now in even more trouble than he was before. He's got a duo behind him. He's got the duo in front of him. That is his wall, though. But no, too much going on here. He's going to go ahead and back off. Tries to buy himself some time. I like the passiveness here, but he probably should have opened the edit when he had the chance to. Now, it might just be wraps for him. Out he goes. He has to completely disengage. Great play for him to run at that moment.
And in comes the new challenger because he thought he was safe trying to go past two teams. Ends up in the palm of the hands of both Quanti and Peterbot on the other side. Just one of those things that it's not the luck of the draw. Not going to be on your side, but Pars and Baka with 3 eliminations. They're still trying to remain as consistent as possible. And we know they're one of the consistent teams in the lobby. I talked about it yesterday, but I'll say it again. To end that Duo Cash Cup a few days ago, they won 3 games in a row. 10 eliminations, and 8 to close out the day. If they could channel that type of play here towards the last half, they could be your new FNCS champions.
What better time to start going on a run in Cash Cups other than now, when the full merging of the regions has already happened and you're going against those same legit competitors. That's all the confidence you need to gear up for an FNCS Grand Finals weekend. Boyo and Sphinx, though, from Mega City, the zones kept them here long enough. Finally now, the landlord comes knocking. They want their payments, and Boyo's looking a little hurt for cash right now. He's got to figure this one out. Very tough spot to be in. Oh, why peek it?
Decision is made regardless. Sphinx now stuck as a solo. Very, very similar to Poyo in that last game, but picking up points is going to be huge as Pars is the one who actually gets the elimination onto Poyo. Because now Sphinx is kind of hunting for information, trying to figure out where a lot of teams are, which is going to be hard. He's underneath a bridge. There's so many different mountains, so a good portion of his visibility is blocked off, so that is going to go and deny him a ton of information.
That's right, but it also denies lines of sights onto him, hence this being a decent spot to be in as a solo for now. And we'll see what happens on the rotates. Let's jump in with Chubbs and Bryce, who have 0 eliminations, but the zone's right behind them. They're just a kinetic blade away. You can see Chubbs trying to stay warm, sliding back and forth in the box, just letting us know here, hey, we're chilling. We ain't doing nothing crazy, not till the zone comes this way.
No, what that is right now is he has that augment, so every time you slide, you get the medium ammo intact. It's not a ton, but for a team that has less than 100 actual medium ammo, anything is better than nothing as Chubbs flies through the sky, lands a cheeky little shot to try to get a little bit more onto Stormsters, but also back down his opponent so he doesn't become a target. You see in the feed, Bugha and Threats, they find those 2 eliminations, and this is all the loot they've just been rewarded with.
Bugha, Threats on the move right now. Big rotates coming out with the Kinetic Blaze. No more to push with. And up he goes. This is going to be a very scary mountain to climb later. You might as well start getting up now. And you can see already the flare guns starting to come out. They have the information they need. Man, it's just an info dump, literally. And they see there's one duo behind them. That's going to be the team of focus here. It's Peterbot and company, but they're already gone. Kinetic blading away, up and over to this high ground. Already though, he's going to settle here. Zone's going to pull back. We have other fights happening everywhere unfolding right now. The action just continues to rack up here already for Game 8, Zone number 9.
See Yam Zone rise on the other side. You can see it in the feed as well, getting that elimination. Baka keeping things rolling for him and Pars. They find another elimination on Deceased, bringing their total to 6. They have 24 points this game off straight eliminations alone. If you're trying to close the gap and take first place, especially take advantage of the fact that Golden Acorn went down early, and that's the team that's directly above you, this is exactly how you do it. And now they possess the vault loot as well.
That's a big pickup right there. I'm happy they went to go check it out to see what was being offered, because this is a huge pickup that can change the game right now. They're poised to potentially win this one right here. Keep an eye out on them. Duke and Edgy also. What is this? From Acorn and Cold falling early to them staying alive right now, they have another chance to start to pick up that lead and break away.
Yeah, they need to take first place back away from Koyo and Sphinx, especially with Sphinx being a solo here in the lobby. It is definitely possible. You see the flare guns going out, everybody's position being revealed. Sphinx drops down low. A couple players in this lobby do know he's a solo, and you said it yourself, a refresh. That's exactly what Sphinx is looking for, and exactly why he's staggering himself backside his zone.
Look at that, he's gonna go on and break his way through. Doesn't get the tree that he was looking for, but now finds himself on TK's wall. Couldn't quite land, and all of a sudden he is now officially out of material in enemy build. Shots are coming in. The angle was too good for Pamsco and Fast. They find themselves a refresh. Threats loses Booga, and he is by himself now. Also, 3 Elans front side of zone. He needs a refresh. He has to find it. The option's not simple. Solo champ Ritual right in front of him.
So little mats right now for Threats. Even though he does have 3 eliminations, Duke lost Edgy, but at least shuts down the Storm Surge, something that they don't have to worry about anymore. And High Ground gets chopped down. That's Bully, that's Lizux, who get chopped down to size into the palm of the hands of everybody else, which gives so many players a chance to try to claim the high ground on this next rotation.
This is a huge surprise. Duke almost had a crazy elimination right there, but instead he goes for the med kit in the zone. That's going to be quite the play. We'll see if that works out for him. Threats, however, gets taken out in the meantime, and just like that, Dukes buys himself 10 free seconds, 10 seconds, which gets him 3 more placement points. That could be a difference. What more can he make? Misses the shot when it matters, but there's a player there too. Scrambles his way out. He doesn't even know what's going on right now. I think he's also trying to find his bearings here until Cody goes again. That's the safe spot.
Going crazy right now, right before our very eyes.
What?
Miro and Cooper, they're trying to go ahead and take that top spot as well. Consistency is key throughout the 2 days of this event. This is already game number 8, so games are just flying by right before our very eyes as Iamzo takes down Miro. Cooper's still alive, though, so these solo points are going to be huge.
Quick as a flash, Iamzo, the reaction speed was there. 7 Elans for him. You can tell he is on fire right now, not looking to stop here. Another player in front of him doesn't even hesitate. Lets it rip and finds himself a huge shield crack right there. We're inside the top 10. This is the danger zone now.
Ooh, big find. They have no mats.
Oh
Stay
my
in
God.
foot, and it's working to perfection. Even though it's not a ton of mats, at least it's something to work with here. And they get another elimination, taking down Casters as well. We got ourselves into the top 10.
Another one!
Keep it going! What are we witnessing?
Already a 3-piece pickup, drop kicking everyone on the mid-ground. Iamzo demands respect here. He hasn't even had a chance to heal. Meanwhile, Rise is completely healthy in front of the zone. Rise, we get to jump in right now, playing the heal-off situation here. He's like, all right, Iamzo, wow, just go. You keep rolling through the lobby. Rise now backs it on out. There is just a couple seconds before it fully closes. Lizix from the high ground on down. Quad catches him, though, and a beautiful execution on the Elim is enough for Rise to go ahead and ride this one out. A 12 Elan dub.
I don't think they planned to pay heal off at the end of that game, but as soon as those rolls emerge, Iamzo just fragging out. Rise had all the heals. He knew exactly what to do, and he didn't get greedy, and that is a player that's trying to contest someone like Acorn to be called one of the best IGLs in North America.
Talk about putting up the bullets and the shots when you needed to. X marks the spot. He was on target every single time there, Jacob. Take a look one more time. I want to. I know you do as well. At this moment, we already knew he had it. He picked up a slew of Elans. He did enough damage to the rest of the lobby. Qua had nothing. Rise rides it out and wins the game. And just like that, game 8 victory goes to Iamzo and Rise, and that's a book shut.
Yeah, something that we kind of saw in that last season. Anytime these guys get a chance to play, whether contested or not, they put up numbers, simply put.
That is right.
Talk about those numbers, though. The leaderboard has changed hands yet again. Zeke, analyst, take it away.
Man, I thought game 1 was crazy. I thought NPen and Polarized showed us what NA was going to be, but it is not the case because Yamzo and Rise decided, let me just turn and burn every single duo that we could possibly do this to and get 12 elims and a victory royale. NA, they ain't having it today. They're like, no, we're fighting for a crown. We're fighting for 3 spots. Let's do it.
They're setting us up. They're setting us up for one heck of a, back end of the day, because every single time a team seems to take over first place, second place, they seem to have a bad game, right? And it just gives these opportunities for all of these other teams like Yamzo Rise, who, by the way, just had a pop-off game, 12 eliminations from them. Incredible stuff.
And such intelligent plays coming out of the both of them there, divvying up the roles for, again, one player to go for the eliminations, one player to stay back, get the heal off because he saw that he had the slurp and the med miss, knowing that he was going to be in a good position. But of course, watching Yamzo pop off, and I think he went down to what, 10 HP at one point and still got the siphon. It was such an incredible play to watch.
He was just hitting every single shot. Didn't matter if the player was to the right, to the left, up, off his screen, below him, anything like that. Yamzo was just locked in. I mean, look.
He knows where they are.
Stop. Like, how? What are you doing?
Just a ridiculous showing here from NA. Showing us, hey, look, I know you thought you knew what the top 5 was coming into day number 2. Well, you're wrong, because we are all here to play. Those spots are so crucial. We will now fight for them as well. Let's take a look at our standings, though. How much does this single game impact our standings? We'll take a look. Yamzo and Rise, they launched themselves up those standings. 9 places, now taking over that number 1 spot. But now start to look at the rest of these standings, dude. If you ask me, hey, Zeke, if you Can we said, Zeke, this is what day 2 is going to look like, I wouldn't believe you. I would have never imagined this, but NA has something else to say.
I can't believe that they have 39 eliminations, 7 more than the second most amount of eliminations that we have, but also Baka and Pars doing such a good job. 260 placement points, and they're also able to get a bunch of eliminations as well. That's why they're currently ahead of Polo and Sphinx. They are, I'm just blown away right now.
The chase was on in day number 1. There's no chase happening in day number 2. Everybody's just switching spots on the top of the leaderboard, and a team that now find themselves in second place. I mean, Baka and Pars, and I mean, listen, they had a good game number 7, good game number 8. Maybe the strategies that they switched up day number 1 to day number 2, the extra prep work is working for them clearly.
It is like, once again, just look at these names on these standings, right? People like Bugha and Threats, Acorn and Cold, names that started today in a super strong position are now just being pushed aside. These other duos, they want to play. And just think, we have 4 more games here before we know who'll walk away with the Axe Champion. And for Yamzo and Rise to come out swinging like this, Kelly, my oh my.
I love it because there is now only a 50-point lead between 1st and 8th place. That can change so quickly. A single game can dictate the leaderboard. And again, these players aren't just fighting for that 1st place spot. I mean, they're not even fighting for the top 3 spot to make it to the Global Championships. Each placement that they get is more money in their pocket and more pride to hold on to themselves as well. Gosh, I don't even know what to say.
Well, we're still talking about all the switches that are happening, but you're talking about how there's only a 50-point difference. That means that still these top teams are still holding on, getting enough points in every single game to stay within contention. And a team that is doing that got to be Bugha and Threats, of course, being in the 7th place position on the leaderboard right now, right? Only around that 50 points behind. That's just 1 game difference between them and 1st place right now.
I think what is kind of terrifying me, and like this realization is setting in, if any of these duos, and I kind of like talked about it at the very, very beginning of the show, if any duo makes a mistake and they go down, everyone else will absolutely capitalize on that situation. And we've seen it, right? These first 2 games have already shown us every other duo is saying, we want you to fall. And the moment that you do, we are going to turn it on, and we're going to pull out all the stops, right? NPEN, Polarize, now Yamzo and Rise, names we're so familiar with hearing on NA. This scares me.
Well, with Bugha and Threats, you know, a lot of players might want to see them fall, and we kind of saw them have a rough game 7. But in game number 8, they learned from their mistake, and honestly, it was kind of funny watching in game 7 them doing the non-dead side rotation that we've seen them doing time and time again. And it fell, and obviously they were able to make the adjustments that they needed for game 8.
Now, we do want to take a look at a couple stats we want to break down. We want to look at kind of damage across the games we've seen so far. So, Vivid, why don't you break this down for us?
Yeah, so this is going to be the L plus damage ratio across all teams. Basically what that means is teams that are dealing more damage than they are receiving. So as you can see, the team that is doing the best at that right now, 1.28, it's going to be Death and Tahi, which is honestly a surprise when it comes to me. Personally, also Re and Epic Whale finding themselves up there as well. So the damage is being done. It's not really being taken, but they're still not finding themselves towards the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's not too surprising to see Re and Epic Whale there. Re is an incredibly aggressive player, so it does make sense that he'd be doing a bunch of damage, but it's just a shame that we're not able to see them convert that into a successful mid to late game. And I believe they're currently sitting around 25th place right now. I'm not too certain, just after game number 8. But man, to see them have such a high score right here, clearly able to convert incredible damage, I'm wondering what they're missing.
Yeah, let's also talk about the fact that, you know, our top teams aren't up there, which means that they are still finding themselves at the top after basically taking more damage than they are really receiving, which is a feat of its own. So they must be finding so many heals to deal with that.
Well, look, now is that time. Now or never, because again, Axe of Champions and 3 spots all in line for the Global Championships. NA, it is time for us to step up, all right? Let's make some waves. Let's make some things happen right here. This is game number 9 of the FNCS.
Let's see who has that winning formula, who has cracked the most difficult code, and that is taking home an FNCS win. Because so far today, we've had a nice wide spread over the NA space. Not so much on EU. The story's been much different here for us.
It definitely has. And we're already seeing some big changes to that leaderboard, specifically Yamso and Rise. Well deserved at that. Yamso doing what he does best and just tearing up the lobby. And hopefully that momentum continues into this next game, because game number 9 is ready.
That is right. We have game 9 here. We're slowly inching our way towards the end of the day. This will officially mark the halfway point, or actually the 75% mark, the tail end of the competition. This has been a 2-day event. Death, Tahi, we get to start with, of course. We're wondering, where is all this damage coming from? Well, they have some players in the vicinity. They also have, of course, this vault. All the damage that they get to do on the surrounding AI and whatnot starts to feed into it, so it really does start to track up and buff up those numbers. So there's a bit of some skew going on, but hold up. Let's hop in with Yamso. Let's hop in with Rise right now. Again,
wow.
Quick, easy, swift. They close out Nick. We already know what they're going to do to Nick next, right? They've been doing this all weekend long.
Oh, but he found a kinetic blade. This is going to be his only chance to try to survive. He does a couple dashes. He is going to get away for now, but they are hot on his heels. Yeah, they definitely need this elimination. They want to hold their first place intact. They want the Storm Surge as well. They crack the shields, but are they going to go on the Great Chase? Because you got to keep in mind, they still have a loop path. They still have a surge path. They still have the rest of the game that they are going to try to play out, but they're just hoping that he doesn't have a ton of material to continue to try to hide and then catch him on the tail end. That is going to be Rise that takes down Nyx, and it was Rise, honestly. Once you saw Yamso land that first shot, if you notice, he was just putting down suppressive fire to make sure even if he peeked, he would go down regardless, but Yamso finished it off nonetheless.
That's right, and they were trying to hold on to that kinetic blade, charge up those shots, and then make a clean escape. That was actually a very greatly executed elim there. They needed to make sure they secured those kinetic blades. Chubbs and Bryce, of course, we get to catch up with all of our best performers so far. We've seen a lot of Chubbs and Bryce. Last game, they fell just short of probably where they wanted to be. Now we see them slipping down. They're currently sitting in 9th place. We have new kings up at the top here. Yamso, Rise, Baka, Pars, Boyo, Sphinx. These are our new top 3s right now inside of the conversation. Dukes and Edgy had a bit of a struggle as well so far. You know, this is the nature of two-day competitions, right? We will see these back and forths, right? These adjustments, these changes happen to overall placements.
Yeah, and already you're seeing the change up here as we peek in 2 eliminations onto Duke right out of the gate. So you got to imagine another drop spot switch up has been achieved for some of these teams, but May not have been the best ending for that one, as you see them consolidating all of the heals like we've seen many games before, and you can kind of see already how stacked Mega City is off drop. But since it is so big of a POI, it's easy to try to loot up without really fighting anybody or feeling forced to fight anybody.
Well, the thing is, you don't get great loot from these, you know, the material gains is not excellent. Yeah, sure, you'll get, you know, an awesome loadout, maybe some big heals. The vault accessibility, of course, is a massive dub, but the actual material gains is poor. You have to slow down. It'll take you a lot of time to go in and max farm, and that's why Pollo and Sphinx actually split up. But let's jump in with Sinetto and DeQuinted here, giving Bolt and Thoric some problems right now off the gate here. They end up securing the isolation here, grab the wall as well. Huge shot onto Bolts there. Both sides already lit. Goes for the window peek. That was very gutsy there. Ends up working out. They get the knock, and now going for the finish here inside of the box. Thoric's facing 2 players on the other side. They're angry. The pickaxe comes out as well. The disrespect.
Yeah, the former NA West champions on these contested drops, not necessarily finding their stride here in this FNCS. As Chubb and Bryce, they found it long ago. They're just trying to hold on to it. Quickly edits in, falls into the box of Aiden, and sends him all the way back to the lobby. And you can see in the feed, Paper already team, and their game number 9 has come to an end.
It's very good for Paper and Shadow. We've seen them more often than not on the side that's running, the side that's disengaging. Now we get to see them win. Here's Pamstone Thatch. We get to jump in. Frenzy Fields, an excellent point to have to yourself. They have this entire area more or less to themselves. Other teams now starting to look onwards and in to see what they can steal from this drop here. But Pamstone and Thatch find themselves in 6th place so far after 2 days of competition here. This is game number 9.
That's a good amount of loot already from the capture point as well. Since nobody was there, you don't really spot anybody out, especially towards the outskirts, as Acorn and Cold back into the mix, trying to have a make-up performance here. If anybody can do it, it would be Acorn and Cold. Try to close the distance, though. They will need some eliminations. Otherwise, they'll be hoping for a lot of the competitors that are above them to go down early. And they're already spotting down both Bully and Lizux right below. They've separated, though. That's going to be the biggest thing. If Acorn and Cold can notice that, they're going to see it as a green light and go.
Yeah, and you can see he's holding that cone there. The wall comes out. That gives him the information he needs. And I think they have recognized we might have an opportunity here. This is a single box. It's not a 2-box wide. We can take advantage, and there it is. He tries to jump in. Lizux, I want to give him some credit, though. Great job recognizing danger. The timing couldn't have been better. The moment Acorn jumps out, he's like, all right, gotta go. Blasts out the side here. Acorn and Cold are taking this very personal, though. They were fully eliminated by this duo last game.
Acorn put himself on notice as well. Commented saying, I'm throwing right now. And that's something that is big for a lot of these players, is realizing the mistakes you're making, admitting defeat, and holding yourself accountable. And that's going to be the first step in Acorn and Cold, hopefully making a comeback. Pollo and Sphinx, I feel like this is where we left them the last couple of games to start off Mega City. They build themselves a tower in one of the highest locations, and you can see it's usually that bottom left building, which gives them a line of sight of everybody to the southern portion of the map, to the east, west, and the north.
That's right. Doesn't get any better than that. Having that consistent game plan, strategy in place. Most importantly, being able to execute. At the end of the day, you can be spoon-fed all the details. Hey, here's what you got to do. Here's the best rotates, etc. But you have to put up the performance when it matters. And that's what we're watching play out. Cooper and Marrow have a chance to also solidify and punch their ticket to the Global Championships in October. Seemingly out of nowhere with the surprise performances, Miro entertaining the idea of stepping away, goes on a whim with a coin flip and says, you know what, gut feeling says, let's go take this. And he's in top 5 right now. That's ridiculous.
It's like that. Every time I try to get away, they keep pulling me back in.
Too good.
That's Miro, yeah, that's exactly kind of his story. Multi-time FNCS champion, multi-time runner-up. I think the biggest hiccup was that FNCS Invitational, which is why I think he's trying to get back on that international stage.
Something so special about playing in person. Lucky for you, you can also attend in person if you absolutely want to. Tickets are going live tomorrow, first thing in the morning, May 15th. Mark your calendars. For some, they already are punching their way all the way through. They've already earned their seat at the big stage. And for others, here on NA, the story is yet to be determined. We will be pushing through 3 new duos to the Global Championships. Plenty of time to get your passports, that's for sure.
Make sure you guys put yourself on notice. That's a good point.
Yep.
You guys are on North America. Get your passports ready for travel. And traveling is what a lot of our teams are doing on the day. Caskers and Clarity from Breakwater Bay, even though they got Nownsy right in front of them, they still have much distance to cover in towards the zone. But they have to go ahead and check him off the list. That's going to do so many things in terms of loot and in terms of Storm Surge. And that's going to be Caskers who cleans that one up rather quickly. And now they can go on their merry way.
Clarity G, Casker have had tons of exceptional moments this weekend. You love to see them continue to find their stride. They are, however, just outside the top 10 at the moment, so there's still a lot of performance to be put up for them. Let's get a little update going on here, Jacob. Talk to me about Duke and Edgy's position here. It looks like they're doing pretty darn good.
No, they definitely have. This time, they won that off-spawn exchange that's been eluding them for the past couple of games, and they're immediately using that comfortability when it comes to already having that surge, even though it isn't much, to beeline it to this weapons cache, not let it degrade in rarity, so that way they can get the best loot possible, even though they are separated. They're definitely one of those teams that can close the distance, because they do also have a kinetic blade and Zypha on one. We see them battle out almost every single game against Landjock and Zukis with one elimination already. They got the ball rolling, but Lizak and Bully, you saw them disengage from Acorn and Cold. Now they're in a box-to-box fight versus Zypha and On One. You got to imagine what it's for. Well, it was for that weapon cache.
Keep in mind, this is the hometown of Pamso and Fats right here. They were just here moments ago. We don't see them around anymore. I do wonder what all unfolded there. Did they rotate out? Were they caught off guard? There's a lot of new duos showing up. Lizak and Bully don't have any elims either, so they've just pulled up here. They have managed to secure some of that loot cache there. They're sitting on a surplus of heals. They can take this battle. I don't know, if I'm Lizak, I'm probably pulling, I was going to say, pull this loot back, get it into a little bit more of a safer position, secure it.
Yeah, even though you guys had to see him eyeing the thought of using that med kit for 14 HP. Some people thinking, well, that's nothing. Why are you going to go ahead and waste time for 14 HP? Well, it stops him from that one-shot potential from anything other than that Mythic Havoc. Chubbs and Bryce, they've already had to rotate a few paces to get to this position over towards the edge zone, and instead of going far and deep towards the south, they have a chance to continue to kind of center up, even pull north a little bit, and that would be a blessing in disguise for a team like this.
Someone watching YouTube or something?
They have the place to do so as well. Play this low ground terrain here. This is a nice spot to be in if you're going to make a ground rotate. You see them switch over to Brick because there's so much reservoirs down low here that they can start to farm up with as well. And it's the little details that matter. Let's take a look at where Cold and Acorn are. This has been their strategy too. They do tend to poise up a position just outside the mega city. So far, looking okay.
See Rift Island already there, beginning to appear. There's going to be a question to who goes and contests it. I know one team that claims they're going to go for it game after game, but are they going to be one of those teams that actually does it as users getting back down? Paper and Shadow trying to get a little antsy and take this player down as they continue to break through the walls. Peace Control going underneath their own, and with the Red Eyes, they're just trying to make this one easy. Whether it's them that gets the elimination or the Storm itself, user is gonna go down unless he finds some sort of a miracle. The med mist is being used. He's doing everything he can, but it's just simply not enough. And you can see in the feed, that goes over to School. Not even Shadow and Paper. So all the effort, all the resources expended for virtually nothing.
I was wondering, how did that happen? We didn't see shots come in, but they must have gotten the last tag, and they didn't get to touch him. So user, being extremely slippery, manages to effectively not give anything to Shadow and Paper. I'm sure he's some way going to take solace in that, probably happy. Well, let's get on over back to Zypha on one over at the Frenzy Field. We were wondering where Thatch and Pamsa were. They're just outside of the action. Like, yeah, sure, you guys want to come in here, y'all can have it. We've already ran through here. We got the loot we need. But everyone else starting to battle now. really makes you wonder how good of a player in Thatch and Pamsu are. That timing to go ahead and just slip out of danger when it mattered most.
NA West, stand up. That's how I feel every time I see some of our competitors, Baka and Pars. But I'm going to go ahead and throw it on over to Jenny so we can see how some of our teams are faring in this lobby.
Thanks, Jacob. Yes. Okay, so Baka and Pars, we can see here, Baka is taking a different approach to getting storm tags. They're not really worried about storm sickness at all, but they are staying in the storm a bit, building up, getting those storm surge tags, and you can see Pars is just chilling. He does not care that they're in the storm. They are set up for those storm tag surge, and they're not really, again, like worried about storm sickness, and they'll be set up going into endgame.
That's the way you do it right there. You definitely want to stay proactive. You can see they're sitting on just so much loot as well. Those extra heals really giving them the moment. It's crazy how much the Fortnite universe has changed in the way that these players start to set up. I would say ever since the introduction of augments, we've seen more zone play like that. It does tend to switch things up. And of course, the sprinting and the slap juice, good opportunity. But Giants is down. This is the team that has been giving Kanata and Agers a run for their money from day one and day two. They don't have any elims, so we know they didn't take down Kanata or Agers this game at least, but they do have a lot of loot in that loadout, so you can tell that it's been pretty good for them so far, but they are losing to the hands of Aviv and Skittles.
Yep. One of three teams that actually has a chance to get some vault loot, specifically those Mythic Havoc pumps, and already trying to put it to use. Kind of forcing Giants to really disengage. A little bit of a messed up edit on that cone allowed them to get the cheeky shot underneath and get the elimination all together while he was trying to just pick him up and bring him to safety to hopefully to get that revive off. As Aviv is continuously trying to med mist up as these teams do fight in the storm, the longer they go, the better chance that they're going to be weak. When this week one-shot potential could go in Giants' favor, no matter what, Aviv and Skittles will possess that same potential.
Let's watch this from the beginning, though. Every story has a beginning, and for Skittles and Aviv, it all kicks off with a single elimination. They hop on in, they find Sprite, just clapping from the side, and just like that, it all comes crashing down. The Giants and crew, the back and forth. And this is where we get to where we are now. But for Rise and Yamzo, much different here. We're out of the wet storm. We're onto the dry land here. Finds themselves a nice little bush. Plenty going on all around them here. A few duels to pick from. They find one on the side, trying to make a rotate. The tags start to come down. Nothing quite connects. But they're chilling, man. Look at this. Big heals in the loadout. Great heals on the inventory, and all in all, they're above the surge.
Baka just dropped down to just very, very little. But luckily for him, Pars was able to get at least one of those eliminations. Good amount of loot as well, which was going to be a must for someone like Baka, who doesn't have very much HP. And with still some distance to travel before they find their safety into the zone, they have to pick that perfect time because they're 400 above the damage threshold, so Storm Surge isn't a worry. It's just making it there. The Purple Kinetic Blades, they have 3 charges, so it's going to be much easier than some of these other players are having in the lobby.
It's looking like it's going to be just fine for them as they now find themselves on the edge, but it's going to start to get super congested. Look at all those players who are now starting to slide their way off of those Rift Islands. And of course, the big base is all around. Baka's going to sneak one in there. Takes down Dom, whom hide and seek and Lawrence trying to get the Elim on in the last minute or so. So that's a quick steal for him.
Okay.
Cole, Acorn looking pretty solid here. They're going to start rotating a little early right now.
Yeah. Timing
you are my worst nightmare.
You don't have to be so negative about it, bro. Just chill.
You are my worst nightmare.
Converging, pulling north
of
the portion of the game, settling up, and then it gets a drastic turn towards the southeast. Most of that being over water, and that's why Cole
I think I could have something that's even scarier.
And they get the last little bit of this pier to try to claim
as you watch it so you can get the back bling too.
The open waters. They're waiting to see where this next pool is before they make a drastic rotation.
What did you say?
You watch it so you can get the free FNCS back bling.
Big chunk of this safe zone is hovering over that
how
water,
do I
Jacob.
do
This is
that?
going to be very, very tough. You can see teams
First of all,
trying to decide what building they
You
want to set
watch
up
the
on.
screen for an
And most
hour,
of them are not gonna be on
then
this
you
west
get a
side.
free
Why
back bling.
choose
It's
there?
a
The bigger
FSCS one.
landmass is on over to the east.
Wow,
So the zone has to be
okay,
that way.
cool.
Question mark. For Bach and Pars, we get back to the zone. They've
And
been
it will
here for
never
quite
come
some
back, so
time,
I'm
and now
watching
things
it,
start
and
to
I'm
catch
super
up.
excited to get it because
From
it's
the
clean.
analyst table on down to the casting desk. Let's see how
So
it
if
plays out.
I
Bach
watch
gets
somebody
punished there.
play for
Just a
1
few heals here
hour,
to maintain. Lawrence has
I
arguably
get
something
a
even
free
better.
back bling.
It's
No,
like
you could
their
just leave your
surgeons,
character there
ready to
on the
rock and
screen.
roll.
You could just
Attacks
leave
start
your
to come in.
character on the
Need time to
screen,
drink it. There it
and
is.
then you can just
He's
go
thinking
like
smart.
watch YouTube or something. You don't have to watch it. You can just keep your character staring at the screen, and then you get the back bling.
No longer here.
How about I just put on an hour-long video and then just say, hey, I just got a free back bling. Wow.
He did just enough damage to allow him to rotate freely. 35 above, with teams going down, that's going to shift that threshold up
I could
and
just
down for
do
some of the
that.
teams here.
Just
in
make
the
sure your
valley.
character's
But for
looking
him
at
being
the
above,
screen
even if
for,
it's just a little bit,
are
is
you the
more than enough
ninja?
for him to focus on his
Yes, I'm
rotation.
Ninja.
How do Booger and Threads do it every single time? We already had a
Oh,
full video
Why
breaking
you
down
ask?
Your
how
request in a
their
minute. I can't
rotates
accept anything.
have just been
I can't accept anything
immaculate,
because I'm watching
right?
the
They're
screen.
the pinnacle of player in Booga.
Okay, well, I have to
Before I
leave.
leave, I'm gonna for sure accept
Again,
it.
these two teams, since they both land
Okay,
on the southern
because
portion
I
of
have
the
to
map,
Can
leave
you
in like
send
a
it again or
times than
not?
not, they will end up taking some tags.
yeah, I
and,
have
they
to
will
leave in
end
a
up
minute though.
in a possible exchange, but Booga doesn't like it as his
Dude, it won't let
Yeah,
me
just resend
try
it.
it. It won't let me try it again.
Everybody's gonna have to do the same thing, and the decision: do you go ahead to the left
Oh,
or the
dang.
right, stay on land, or just try to beeline it across the river? There are some static launch pads that you could use.
What's
if you
your
don't
name?
have mobility, but that makes you a
In
target
real
and
life?
focus of potential shots.
You know, honestly,
No,
Booga
your
and Threads are
username.
making it just look too easy.
Oh,
They
Mr.
are,
Weird.
like, literally just out-positioning every single... Look at how many players
Mr.
are
Weird.
trying to rotate right now.
Does it have any
Think
numbers?
with kinetic blades in play, everyone should be in a pretty spread out
yes.
good spot, right? Air quotes are really good. But no, they're
What
on top
numbers?
of one another. They're finding themselves in the most obvious spots, if you will, and then force them to start pushing cross
I
country
have-
like this, and it costs them a lot of material.
91614. Mr. Weird underscore 91614. No, 91614.
And from
Mr. Weird underscore
solo throughout the first two games,
91614.
and they're finally getting some placement points to tick in as well. This is a good chance to try to make up
Mr. Weird
some of those
underscore
points from those first two games that you lost
91614.
out on. But you still have a rotation to go,
Mr.
and now
Weird
would be
underscore
that time. There's a
91614.
bunch of teams behind him, and timing has to be perfect because you don't want to get stuck battling everybody
Mr.
else
Weird
for a spot in
underscore
zone, especially where
91614.
it's actually located.
Yep.
There's so many different natural
Friendly
elevations that
sector.
these teams are going to have to deal with.
Sweet,
Great
I got
spot to
it.
be in right now for Golden Acorn. You can see they're starting
Okay,
to
I'll
shuffle
accept it in
through
a
their
little bit.
arguments right now, see what kind of upgrades they have
Okay,
available for
because
them.
I gotta leave it
Golden
actually
Acorn
in a minute,
find
so
themselves
you
in
might
a
have to
position
friend
just outside the
request
same
in a
zone. They
minute.
can now start
Might
to
have to
double
accept
back,
it, man.
bounce back, and look
So
at
I
players
gotta
that have
leave
to
it
I
in a
will.
minute.
I'll
the
accept it
unfortunate
later
few
because
that
I gotta
have to
watch
move on
this.
foot.
No, you're good.
Those are the free targets
Okay,
for
because
most.
I gotta leave in like
Edging out.
5 minutes.
Legendary loadouts in hand. Eons on rise. Trouble in
Now you're
paradise
chilling,
for them.
bro,
They
you're
have a 2-0
chilling.
right on.
Dude, tomorrow I'll probably stay for an hour to get that free back
Tricky thing is,
bling.
even though you yourself might be above the damage threshold,
You can't do it
Probably.
tomorrow. You can't do it tomorrow.
If you're down,
Why?
And you're next to a team that might be above, you might not have any other choice as Yamso and Rise.
Because you could only do it yesterday and today from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Flare gun could cause
Oh,
some
why?
fires on this POI. A lot of it is going to be built in wood.
Flip,
And
that
where you
was done
position yourself
earlier.
That was
is
just
so
the date.
important because if you
So
take that
today and
outside
this
front
time is
and
the
zone
last time
pulls
you can
back
get it.
up those hills, you better have
Oh.
resources or something.
Will
of
it come
mobility, or
back?
You're going to be going through it.
That's right. And Eons, you can see there, starts to run out of material, loses
Nope.
Rise as he doesn't quite find the building that Eamzo found
Oh,
himself
flip.
in. And he
I gotta
falls to the
stay
hands
for
of
an
Quasi. Now
hour then?
Eamzo is by himself here. No materials
Holy
to truly
flip.
work with.
Just leave your
Flare
screen
guns
on for an
popping up
hour.
everywhere, so he's been exposed. We get to run that back one more quick time before we jump into the rest of the action. Take a look. Tries to
Okay,
get to Rise. He doesn't
I'll
quite
do
have enough
that,
there.
okay?
Or sorry, Rise was the one cut out.
Dude,
He
wait,
just chases him
wait, so
down.
I'm playing on
Easily done
PS5,
for
so
Cloud now.
here's the thing, so if I just, like, go onto my, so, like,
He got kinetic bladed out of the
what if,
sky, bumped. which
I have
causes
to
some
tell my
separation between
dad
him and
to
Polarized.
leave
Have
my
to be careful
screen
where you make your
on.
next move.
Wait.
Looks like Miro with no builds.
I have a
Blessing is gonna be
question
that
real
kinetic
quick.
blade, but as soon as he flies through the sky, if he takes some damage,
Dude, you
he will
still
not
there?
be able to shield himself.
So,
Miro spots a Vive in the sky
So
and begins to
if
put down some tags.
if
He
I
needs
ask my
close
dad
swords, that way
to
he can
make it
focus
so
on
that
his
the
rotation with a couple
PlayStation is
tags. He
still
does find
on,
some
but
comfortability there.
but the
He finds
TV
some
is on,
important loot.
will
Talk
that
about
still
no
work?
builds. Now he picked up 300 wood. Now he's cooking.
This is a nice
Can you
spot
say
to be
that
in
again?
here.
Sorry,
Definitely
my
bounced
mic
some
is
right
delayed
back.
like 5
He
seconds.
absolutely
All right, so
needed it.
so if my
Now
dad
he's
made so
just
that
enough comfortability to
the
buy him some
PS
room,
my
open up some
PS5
real
was
estate
still
there.
on,
Big team comes
but
in the run right now.
the
8 quick
TV
goals
was
still
on,
up.
would it still
Rex
work?
and Bugha there as well. Quanti, you can see on that second
If they're
height.
both on and it stays on the whole time and doesn't turn off by itself, then yeah.
His zone is very, very unforgiving around the beat
I'm
side,
watching
up and
it
now,
right.
even higher
I'm
up before we go
watching
back on
a thing
down.
right
So
now.
being careful is going to be
I'm
important
watching
as
it,
Bugha
okay.
finds an elimination
I
along the
never
way,
realized
taking
how
down
cool
Nice.
Legends,
Legends
Go,
and
man.
then
landing.
threats are just
I
getting
never
together without
realized
loot
how
before they make
Legends
some sort of
landing
play
was,
for any
how
bit of
fun
hype, 'cause
Legends
they know
landing
this
was.
one is going to be a doozy.
Let's see it.
Did
Pam
you?
still finds
Yeah.
Metal there in the feed. He's still
Oh,
up
you
and
did
running.
already?
Now making a move.
Dude, I
to
still.
the front side. He's cap material. Okay, so the refresh has been real. Meets up with Thatch here. And you have to be
Dude,
careful.
my skin's the
Thatch
aura
needs to
skin.
switch those materials, get back to hard mats. It's danger territory here. Aviv edges his way down. Shoots off the flare gun. He's looking for all the information. They're starting to run out of material on
Can you
high ground.
please leave the
Things are running
PS5
thin.
on?
Somehow,
Because if
Miro finds
you
the
leave it
refresh
on,
as well.
I will get free backbling
Consistently
from this
finding
game.
himself with a little bit more in the gas
Please,
tank.
you got
Cold
you
is
gotta
a
leave.
solo here.
And it's
He
never
gets
coming
into
back.
the zone. A desperate
It's never
play for
coming
big
back.
material.
I
It's gonna pay off.
gotta
As he
leave this
kinetic
game on
blazes
for 1
through a
hour.
player. Almost finds
So
an
you
Elam
got-
there as you hear the shield crack explode.
Either an hour or
Zone.
30 minutes. An hour is just to make sure it works.
Same can be said for Miro.
Yeah, an
Havoc
hour
Pump,
just
mythic
to make sure
variations,
it
so low spot potential is
So,
gonna be
dude,
there.
you gotta
know,
keep it
somebody's
on for an
the other
hour
side,
and
possibly
30
low and
minutes?
above as Cassandra out. He has the med miss, so he can't
Dude,
play.
you
No,
still there?
either an hour or 30 minutes. You can do 30 minutes, but I don't know if you can get the backlink. Sorry, I told you my mic's delayed still.
Okay, so an hour, so 30 minutes to an hour. I'll just tell my dad to do an hour just in case. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, I'll just tell my dad to keep the game on for an hour just in case.
Inside here, you have Miro on that second
Okay,
camera.
see ya.
Hold on the bottom, still cooking up here. He finds Larson, and he's
Alright,
not
guys, so
stopping.
keep it on for an
Ultimately,
hour
Cold is not a
just
player
in
in
case.
sight. He's gonna inch his
So
way around.
just
He says,
roll
no,
around on
I need
this
to get up to a
game for
safer
an
spot.
hour.
He can actually block
So
players out here.
then
and
I'll
fight
get
his way
free
up.
back.
Where are you going?
That timing was
I gotta get ready for
A
bed.
lot of dangers down below. Mero just
Oh, that makes sense. What time is it where you
he
live?
gets taken down by threats.
Because, like right now.
They get taken down by Cold, who has
'Cause for
7
me it's a school
eliminations
night.
as a solo player, finding so many impactful
Oh,
refreshes.
I'm on
Can he
summer
do
break.
it again as Aviv and Skittles
Oh,
stay
I'm going off
involved
summer
with the
break and
high ground, then
on
Hydra
like
taking out Duke. Cold trying to
next
fight back, but it's not enough.
after this week I'll be on summer break on Thursday, but I won't be on then because I'm going Great Wolf Lodge.
Miro, and then out of nowhere, like a sideline flashbang,
Nice.
you just see Cole
So,
coming on through, cleaning up house.
Dude,
and
remember to accept my
nearly
request,
all the way to the
okay?
top there, but in
Close
the
to
end,
Great Wolf
it
Lodge.
is gonna be Skittles and Aviv.
In
who's gonna be done. Let's
Texas?
run it back. Let's rewind here. Aviv, Skittles, 6 eliminations, high
Yeah, I
ground.
live close.
Look at this shot.
Uh,
Bang, it's
so,
over.
bro, remember
Shot
to
stays
accept
down,
my
and it was
request.
just Aviv who finds one. Skittles hit.
Huh?
Mouse is shot.
I will, I
Right before that
will.
as well.
What a way to end that
Okay.
game, though. Just so much action, so much chaos, and then he ends it.
Bye.
Okay. Oh.
All